I hear 1, 1, 1, 1, 5, 5, 5, 5, 4, 4. Can I get a 3, 3, 3, 3 Y's? Radio to the man in the blue coat. Very good looking.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Joe Greller here, one of the Three Wise Guys. Although it will go without saying, about 10 minutes into this cast, we recorded this prior to Carrie Fisher being rushed to the hospital, so it will be not covered in headlines this week. We had to record early because of the Christmas holiday. However, our thoughts and prayers are with her, and we wish her a speedy recovery. She is one with the Force, and the Force is one with her, so we have no doubt that she'll be fine. But without further ado, please enjoy this recap of 2016 as we best remember it on this edition of Three Wise Radio, our second annual. Welcome to Three Wise Radio, a podcast where we talk about movies, video games, comic books, TV, technology, the internet, and pretty much everything else media related. My name is Joe Greller. I am one of the Three Wise Guys. Joining me as usual are the other two Wise Guys, Garret Welker and Sam Pixley. Garret, how are you this, almost New Year's?
I'm doing pretty good. Doing pretty good.
And Sam, how are you?
I'm not good
this week. You're not good.
I'm so embarrassed.
Yeah, care to share?
Yeah, because in the Star Wars from last week, they mentioned that it's not. The Millennium Falcon has a cloaking device, which is shocking because of how small the ship is. But it doesn't have a cloaking device, so the Empire is actually correct, and we're just dumb.
We assumed it was the hyperdrive.
I didn't assume. I knew that it was the hyperdrive, but I was wrong.
So what Sam is talking about is on our last podcast, the Rouge One episode.
What a great podcast it was.
It was a very good podcast. There may be an appearance from Bryan Shcilligo again this week.
What does POD stand for? Does it stand for something?
That's a
pod racer.
There you go. It's a pod racer. But anyway, what he's talking about is last week we had a whole entire conversation on why the Millennium Falcon was a surprise to the Empire, could go into hyperspace. And it turned out to be, it wasn't a surprise. It was a surprise that it had a cloaking device, which it didn't have either.
My biggest mistake of 2016, let's move on.
Okay. All right.
I had a good year.
And chiming in, of course, because it's the annual, we're having the sister podcast on as well. Tyler Lamb from Movie Versus is joining us on the annual. How are you today, sir?
I'm doing just fine, Joe. Thank you very much for asking me that.
What is your biggest mistake of 2016?
Oh boy, I got a long list. I don't know if I can really rate them from biggest to littlest. Let's be honest here.
Yep. All right.
We don't have the time.
What's the first mistake coming to your head right now?
Probably coming unprepared to this podcast with mistakes.
Possibly. Well, we'll get to ranking all the comic book films from this year a little later, as well as a movie, a comic book, a TV show, and a news story we thought really stuck out in the year 2016 as well. But first and foremost, as usual, let's start off with some headlines. And you know what? Let's just pick up right where we left off last week. Rouge One, Star Wars pulled in an estimated $155 million domestically and $290 million worldwide. While its final box office total won't be known for weeks, we do know that it was still one of the highest ranking openings of 2016.
Yeah, was that just opening weekend?
Yes.
I guess.
It's closing in on 200 mil domestically today.
Correct.
That's really, really good.
I mean, yeah, not unexpected.
True.
It's almost
just
as if
it's
this
Star Wars.
Yeah, it's almost as if this formula is going to work.
Time
Weird.
and time
I
again.
mean, they're just trying to get their money back as quick as they can. Disney is, that is.
Sure.
So just make them every year. We'll get millions.
Well, when adjusted for inflation even, it is the second highest grossing Star Wars opening of all time, next to The Force Awakens.
Boom.
So
That's not surprising. How much did they pay Lucasfilm for the rights? Wasn't it like something in the billions?
yeah, but I'm
Question.
pretty sure they've broken even already, if not.
Really? Even with budget costs for the movies?
Toys.
Toys, cartoons.
Yeah. That's true.
Anything that has the word Star Wars licensed to it, they're now seeing the checks. So
I don't know why. I want to say
fair enough.
$9 billion. But that might not be accurate.
I feel like it's something ridiculous like that.
Even if you're Lucas at this point and someone says, yeah, here's $9 billion, you're not going to go through $9 billion.
Oh, they haven't made their money yet. But it was $4 billion.
Yeah,
What they
okay,
bought
that sounds
Lucasfilm
right.
for. But I mean, that
Closing
is
in already.
that is the greatest. Like, you're going to make that money back. There was no risk whatsoever. Yeah.
Oh, they've at least made like $2 billion already off of all merch
Sure.
and counting the movies.
I'm trying to think of an analogy that is as good of a deal as that is, and I can't think of one.
No. But ironically enough, even when adjusted for inflation, the 3 original Star Wars movies didn't make that much in opening weekend.
Comparably?
It wasn't a thing yet.
Or
Comparably, yeah. I mean, well, when you talk about Star Wars A New Hope, for the longest time until Titanic, for 20 plus years, it was the box office juggernaut domestically, the highest grossing movie of all time. No other movie ever came close to it. But it only made $27 million on opening weekend.
Which movie was that?
That was the very first one.
Okay.
A New Hope.
I think another thing that Star Wars has going for, which again we weren't around at the time. I don't know exactly how it went, but I don't think even when those first 3 movies had come out, obviously they were huge hits, but they hadn't become a cultural icon the way that Star Wars has now.
Yeah.
I would argue even like Marvel, as big as it is right now, has not hit that level of cultural impact.
I don't know if it ever will.
It might. It depends on how long this is going, but Darth Vader, to me at least, will always transcend their biggest canon, which is like Iron Man.
Yeah.
and those numbers are opening weekend, correct, for Star Wars A New Hope?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, so I agree with Sam. That makes a lot more sense because I think a movie like that, with the cultural impact, really relied more on, hey, go see this movie that I just saw. So, yeah, I can see how not as many people saw it.
You mean you had to
opening
listen
weekend.
to your neighbor instead of reading about it on the internet from 3 guys you don't know?
Yep.
Exactly.
Wow, what a concept. Speaking of franchises and little Easter eggs, which Rogue One was full of, there has been an announcement of a character reveal in the new Planet of the Apes film that if you are a fan of the original, should actually, well, get you excited.
Is it a monkey?
So Mark Wahlberg is
not a
making an
monkey.
appearance?
No.
Spoilers.
That is the one Planet of the Apes thing that doesn't count,
It is
Tyler.
actually Monkey Abraham Lincoln.
Isn't that the original? I thought that.
Are you serious right now?
Clearly not.
Go
No,
do yourself a
I'm not
favor.
sure.
Charlton Heston, 1968. There was a series of 5 of these movies.
I know, Joe.
Oh, okay.
I feel like so when we're
I
going
can't see your face
when we're
right
counting
now.
brass tacks here, if you put Charlton Heston's line of work versus Mark Wahlberg's line of work, factoring in that if he was on the 9/11 planes, it wouldn't have happened.
And factor
Who's
in
the
he's
better
a new
actor?
cop in that
Wait,
movie
which
about
person?
the Boston bombing.
Mark
the
Wahlberg.
Boston bombing.
I don't know. I feel like if Charlton Heston was on the 9/11 planes, maybe that wouldn't have happened either.
Yeah, but Charlton Heston didn't say that it wouldn't have happened. Mark Wahlberg
and-
did.
Honestly, out of the 2, which one beat a Korean man so hard that he turned blind?
Charlton Heston.
Wrong.
False. Mark Wahlberg again.
Exactly.
Are you learning so much about Mark Wahlberg right now?
Yeah, I know what you're talking about now. It's just taking me a while to connect the dots. You're talking about his Marky Mark days.
Yeah.
And the Funky Bunch.
Yes. Anyway, what the actual
Renaissance-
story was
Renaissance
about, the female character of Nova, who is Charlton Heston's love interest in the first one, the silent love interest, will actually be a child who is mute, being taken along by Caesar himself. So it'll be a human character that Caesar himself will be caring for throughout the film.
These movies are great, and I think I believe everybody can agree that they're brilliantly made, beautifully shot. But it's
Technological achievements in some.
yeah. The sad thing is that I know they're going to be good, but I'm not going to get truly excited until I see the spacecraft coming back.
Right.
Then I'll get stoked because it means we're kind of hitting this new edge and like, what are they going to do? This story kind of hasn't been told. But what are they going to do when they start to mix with the story that has been told?
Well, this is the first movie that is technically not a remake in the series because, truthfully, Rise and War, I believe, or what was the second? Dawn. Thank you. Rise and Dawn were remakes of Battle was the 5th, and I forget what. Conquest and Battle, which are the 4th and 5th ones.
Were those prequels?
Yeah, but those weren't prequels. I thought those were.
They're kind of prequels. They're prequel sequels because
I know that they go back in time, like with
Exactly.
Caesar, and
Right.
have like a baby Caesar or some shit.
Exactly.
Like I know that.
So it's one of those things where actually it's quite brilliant because Heston really told the executives, "Screw you! I don't want any sequels made after the second one." And it's like, "I'll blow up the earth," and the executives go, "We can still do this."
Dicks. Yeah, but that's kind of where I'm standing on it. I want to see that because that was such a great nod in the first one. They're like, hey, there's a ship going to Mars.
But I really do want to see because we've never seen how still because even when you got to the 5th versions of this, the 5th installments of the original series, you never saw how the humans regressed from being able to talk. Because even in the 5th one, they were still able to talk, to being this mute, subversive, like...
Oh, you kill all the adults.
Well, and I'm going to have to go against you a little bit, Sam. I mean, I would be super hyped if they reach that point, if and when, with the spaceship, but I'm still really hyped for these movies just because of how much I've absolutely loved the 2 so far that have come from it.
And you're right, but I guess what I'm trying to say is, like, sadly, I'm going to be super jazzed, but in order for this movie to get me to another level, like, I'm not going to be blown away with Caesar's realism, because now, sadly, I expect it.
I gotcha.
But I want to see that next step being taken for me to reach a new level of excitement for this.
Right.
Still very excited,
especially because we have seen the spaceship launch.
Yeah,
so we know that it's out there. Moving on to some television news, another cancellation came through this week, and this one saddens me just because while I've never seen an episode because I don't have Stars, every clip from it looked amazing. Stars has canceled Blunt Talk after 2 seasons, the Patrick Stewart comedy produced by Seth MacFarlane about him basically being a slightly over-exaggerated, senile political talk person. We'll not see a 3rd season. The season finale only drew 134,000 viewers in total. That's terrible. Yeah,
I have never heard of this ever. Like, any bit of this, I have never heard of.
It sounds like a good idea. So it's essentially Patrick Stewart is playing a British talk show host that comes to America to try and take the political spectrum by storm. And it's just about him slowly. Apparently he has some kind of disease that is on set. Maybe not. I don't know. I think what it's just kind of indicative to me is that with every, and Joe, we talked about this briefly, is that with every new medium that comes up, when TV came up, when even the cars came up, like, eventually winners kind of come forth. And so with this new kind of downloadable streaming services, HBO and Netflix have kind of taken over. And I feel like name a Stars show that has been big in the last 2-3 years. Stars, Showtime, they're on the back burners and they're on their way out. And I think that we've kind of seen who our 2 kings of the castle are going to be in terms of this modern age of television, or just like, you don't even want to call it television anymore. It's almost just media.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Can anybody name something besides what you say, Spartacus, that's been big?
Black
Shameless.
Sails. No, that's Showtime. We're just talking about Stars.
I said Showtime too.
Oh, Showtime.
Yes, yeah.
Shameless. Black Sails has done pretty
Dexter.
well for Stars. Yeah, Dexter.
Dexter hasn't been on in 3 years, 4 years.
Okay, so we're still talking about, Black Sails is in its last season. Spartacus was 3 years ago.
Spartacus has been done, yeah.
For 3 years, but
so far Shameless is the only one that's still going on that.
Yeah.
So I think that's just the indicator. I'm sure there's other shows that we think that we're gonna miss, and hopefully somebody feel free to point them out to us. But I think that's the biggest indicator to me, is that these services aren't being utilized.
It's a very good possibility. All right, moving on to some comic book and movie news as well. Dynamite Entertainment has struck a deal with Lionsgate to publish, Sam, your favorite movie character of all time. John Wick comics
that might be a stretch, but yes, he's quite good.
Yes, John Wick comics are going to be published by Dynamite Entertainment starting in 2017 and will feature new stories featuring the title character that will expand the already Assassin universe.
I would rather it be stories within the universe, not just about John Wick.
Agreed. I would rather it be called, like, The Hotel, and have it be about, like, the birth of how this, if it was like a prequel and it was, I'm not going to buy this comic.
Well, also even depending on what happens in this movie, if the hotel is still standing, I would like
we've all
stuff
seen
about
the trailer, right, for the new one?
Did you see the second one?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
It's very good.
Oh.
But I would like to see a story of how this kind of, because it's like a fraternity, but it's not as structured as, like, say, like your Assassin's Creed Brotherhood is established, but just to kind of see how the fundamentals of this started working. Because I would assume at some point a group of assassins were like, what if there was a place where we could go and not get shot at all the time? Yeah, I would buy that. I would spend money on that instead of doing it the other way.
Oh, I agree with that. Well, stick around because 9 comic book adaptations were supposed to be released in 2016. 7 actually made it to the big screen, and we're going to rank those 7 in just a moment.
3 wise.
3 wise.
Radio.
So as I was saying, 9 comic book movies were scheduled for release this year, making it the most ever in cinematic history. 2 of those, 20th Century Fox's Gambit and Sony's Sinister Six, got derailed years and years ago. And by that I mean last year. However,
Felt like years and years ago,
right?
though.
Didn't it?
Seriously.
We're still less than 3 years removed from Amazing Spider-Man 2. Let that sink in.
Just let's keep that in the past.
No, I'm sorry. We are 3 years removed from Amazing Spider-Man 2?
Yeah.
Still, let that sink in.
Let's pretend like we're on the right track.
We are, because we're moving further and further away from that movie.
I guess. I don't know. That's a weird thing.
What do you mean?
I don't know what I'm thinking about it just now. Like, I think with the... I think you have... What's the guy's name that's playing Spider-Man?
Tom Holland.
Tom Holland. I think he's young enough that he could carry this franchise a long way. But for some reason, and maybe it's just it's probably just completely personal, I'm almost tired or exhausted to the point where it's like, I don't want to give this kid like 3 movies to start making something awesome and then see if we can branch out. Because I think I guess to me what I'm saying is Spider-Man's such a big property, and Spider-Man could potentially carry the Avengers movies by himself. He has so many villains. He has so much story. I've seen the Marvel Universe take place. I'm hoping the DC Universe takes place and is really good. I don't think I have the mental endurance to handle what I would like the Spider-Man universe to be. Does that make any sense?
Yeah.
No, it does. We've had 5 Spider-Man movies in just our lifetime. Like, it's
like half of our lifetime.
Yeah. So it's like, and only like it was 3 and 2. They were completely different. So no, it's totally understandable.
Sam, we know what we need for Spider-Man.
Mysterio.
No, we need an
More
HBO
photographs.
series.
We need an HBO series, but we need Mysterio.
Spider-Man is best told
With Mysterio.
yes, but in a saga season tone, because a lot of Spider-Man's best stories build in the background for issues and then culminate. And that's just so hard to do. Telling the Goblin story is almost impossible in one movie, and they've tried to do it
Because
it
it
twice
rushes
already.
it and it just doesn't.
Yeah.
Even when they try and do it over 2 movies. I mean, we'll see what happens. Here's hoping. I'm trying to take a more optimistic tone as of late. So this looks good. Hopefully it's going to be good, and hopefully it does lead to something nice.
And I'll say this with it. For the most part, other than Amazing Spider-Man 2, they've done a new villain each time. Unlike Batman and Superman, we've recycled the same villains every time there's a new incarnation. Spider-Man, we debuted with Lizard. We debuted with Goblin. We debuted with Vulture. Like, they're trying new things. So
the only sad thing is I want to
that.
see a lot of the villains that they've done redone properly.
Exactly.
And actually, I think with this, jump in head first and just do the Ultimate Universe. Just fully embrace it.
I agree.
I think it's your only way to escape what's happened already.
Yeah.
And for the people that are in the know, I think they'll appreciate it. For the people that don't know anything about it, they're not going to care. I think that's the right play, but...
I agree.
But what about that storyline in the Ultimate Universe when they're making a movie about Spider-Man starring Tobey Maguire?
I mean, you can stop that because for every other,
bring that up, Spider-Man 1.
Yeah. Anyway, we were ranking comic book movies. 7 of them actually did make it to theaters this year. And so we took a poll from all of Three Wise Media, both the Movie Versus cast and the Three Wise Radio cast. So I have in front of me the results.
You weighed our votes more heavily, right?
No. So if you ranked it last, it got 7 points. If you ranked it first, it got 1. And I did it like golf.
Wait,
that's weird.
Okay, that's backwards.
So the higher the total, the worse off it is.
Okay.
All right.
All right.
Can I just say that I voted TMNT really high? Let's move on.
Same here, Sam.
Woo!
Yes.
Let's move on. All right, let's do this.
Coming in at number 7, accumulating 37 total votes.
This is the dumbest. Why did you do it like that?
Because it's ranked on stupidity.
Awesome. Good.
X-Men finished dead last
Yeah, that's about right.
as the worst film of the year, with 4 out of the 6 of us voting it at the bottom.
Let me tell you, Joe, you asked me to vote for that movie, and the first thing I thought
didn't
of
ask you to
was
vote for that movie. I
I
asked you to
I
choose.
fell asleep during that movie halfway through, so that's last.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's what it comes to today.
Hang on. By that statement, Rogue One finished last out of all these. I don't think I fell asleep during any of these.
Because you fell asleep twice.
You had extenuating circumstances.
But is there anything you want to elaborate on this? I mean, we have an entire review
I mean, I
up
think
on
that's where we've kind of
on all
come
of them.
to. Where was that movie bad? No, it wasn't a bad movie, but the market's too rich for there to be movies that are so forgettable, that don't do something that changes the mold. Batman vs Superman, you showed those two on camera together for the first time. Deadpool, you did something completely unique and something that people had been craving for a decade almost.
Civil War, you had characters interacting with each other that you've never seen, and also using like powers like Giant Man. You know,
you've
stuff
had
like
those
that.
things. With this, you had Apocalypse, which is something that we haven't seen before. That's something that I think a lot of people would want to see, but it wasn't. The rest of it wasn't memorable enough to care. Like, it's just, there's not enough there for you to have fond memories already. I can remember fond memories about every movie on this list except really that one.
Yep.
Jean Grey shot an arrow.
I think they did a lot of, oh hey, this worked in the last one, so let's do that again.
I would agree with that. The only thing I would argue with this one is it's a little bit of a redemption to me with Phoenix, because I will still say almost on record that The Last Stand may be, not only is it, in my opinion, the worst X-Men film. Yes, worse than Origins still. Because they don't just screw up one character, they screw up a bunch.
Sure.
You fixed the Phoenix a little bit. The Phoenix finally looked how it should look on camera.
That's
and we got the costumes for the first time at the end. And as ridiculous as Hugh Jackman looked in that getup, God, that was awesome seeing him in the Weapon X outfit.
That was good. But wouldn't you also argue that they also ruined Phoenix again by having it be just a part of Jean Grey instead of this cosmic entity? Again, for the second time in 10 years. They messed
because
it up again.
it's similar to that in the Ultimate Universe. It is a part of her manifestation, and they leave it very vague for a long time.
I guess that's fair.
I feel like it redeemed the franchise, but the movie itself did not redeem itself.
That's fine. Coming in at number 6 with 33 points, TMNT.
Oh,
What?
everybody voted that, so I put that as like number
Bullshit.
4.
You and Tyler both put that as 4.
Yes.
Yeah,
Virtual
baby.
high five with Sam right now.
This movie was victorious. Well, I guess it got second to last, so not victorious. But what did this movie to me was minimal expectations.
I see, Sam. You said you were going off of like what was memorable. I don't really remember a lot about this movie, but I remember
Bebop
having
and
a good
Rocksteady.
time.
Yeah, you had a good time.
And honestly, I don't think it was that this movie was bad. It was just that all the other movies on our list were we ranked a bit higher. We enjoyed them a bit more.
I'll be honest. I put this one last,
Oh, you slut.
but I still enjoyed it because it was like the cartoon. The fact that it was so good but so bad at the same time.
Yeah.
However, you talked about not having higher expectations. The first one gave me higher expectations because I still stand that the first one is actually a really good movie.
So is this one.
This one was incoherent. It had Stephen Amell. All it was missing was Felicity at this point. Like, I mean,
I completely disagree.
he was.
You just
didn't
get it, Joe.
You're right. I
It
didn't.
was a little too highbrow for you. Bebop and Rocksteady.
And you're talking about a dude who was. I'm gonna be honest. I was probably the most excited for Krang out of all of us.
I thought Krang worked out nicely.
No, I thought he worked out great too. But
But
it's
he was
just
definitely more excited than we were.
the story itself was just so. And Stephen Amell.
What was wrong
I
with
love
it?
him. I'm a cop, man. I want to be a cop. And
Oh, yeah, that was
I-
shitty. But that's not the story.
Hey,
That
well,
was
to
his
be fair,
entire-
in Joe's defense, the reason I ranked Doctor Strange where I did was because of one specific moment in the movie. So I can let that slide.
So, keeping in mind, these are all an average of our rankings as well. Coming in at number 5, DC's Suicide Squad with 31 total points. So,
I would have given it a higher rating, but I watched it 2 days ago and remembered that it's not that great.
Yeah, I kind of hated that movie.
You guys watched the director's cut too.
Yes. It's, again, we are lucky that we're living in a world where we can see Harley Quinn on screen calling the Joker Mr. J and calling Batman Batsy. That's a special thing. We should always embrace that. But this is another movie that the more you think about it and the more you kind of break down specifically the ending of that movie, the worse it is.
Yeah.
Yes.
Why did a bomb destroy a giant Mayan god when another Mayan god couldn't? I assume they're Mayan, but who's to say?
We'd be here all day if you just went through things that didn't make sense in that movie.
It's a very good possibility.
Everybody looked good though. Actors were good. Everybody's on point.
Oh, the costumes were great.
Everybody did their damnedest in that movie.
I want more from each character,
It's
except Viola Davis.
I want more of her in another movie, but I don't want her in an individual movie. Like, if she's in the background of Justice League, I think that'd be fun. Manipulating things and doing stuff. Garrett and I were talking about this off air. I want to see more of the individual characters, really. Like, that's
Right.
what Suicide Squad made me do. Like, I want to see the story that put Batman and Croc together. I am dying to get a Leto and Ben Affleck scene like we got with Bale and Ledger.
That's the thing. I don't think you'll ever get it.
I don't think so either, sadly. But I am dying because, to me, that's the best. The interrogation scene in The Dark Knight is the best comic book scene ever made. And you have those characters on what is essentially steroids and crack in Heath Ledger and Ben Affleck. And this scene could be epic.
Electric.
I think, Sam, you brought up something interesting when you said would never get that because, Jared Leto has kind of hated on Suicide Squad so much with the cuts. And that kind of reminded me, you guys brought up, I think the last episode, how David Ayer signed on for a Gotham City Sirens movie. Why do you think David Ayer did that when he's been so vocal that or not, I guess he hasn't been so vocal, but it's been pretty obvious that he kind of got screwed by the producers and all that stuff. Like, it's not the exact movie he wanted. It's, all this stuff, like extensive cuts and reshoots and
I think
blah, blah, blah.
I think that a big change we have, and maybe, I don't know the timeline of this, maybe this kind of happened to him before this kind of kicked into effect, but I think a really good meeting with Jeff Johns would push, and maybe even Ben Affleck.
Yeah.
I think a meeting with him would be enough to kind of say, okay, I'll give this another shot.
I also feel like maybe now that he knows, okay, they're probably going to cut down my final product, he'll try and work something more as a whole rather than trying to make it. And then it's like, oh, we get it cut down,
Yeah.
Maybe. I also think you're not shooting for an R rating in a Gotham City Sirens movie. I mean, you can, but it's not necessary, whereas Suicide Squad, it should be.
Yeah.
With this, it doesn't have to be. It can be a hard PG-13, which whatever those ratings mean now. But I think he has maybe not more to work with, but there's less riding on this one.
Sure. Oh,
Yeah,
absolutely.
makes any sense.
Fair enough. Yeah.
All right, coming in at number 4, and I'm saying these just because our top 3 is vastly different in score-wise from our bottom 4. Doctor Strange at 28 points is coming in as our 4th movie. It's kind of just there.
That was second to last for me.
Same here.
Jesus, Tyler,
We might have had the same list, Sam.
let's hang out sometime.
You guys
We
did,
should.
You guys did have the exact same list. I just realized
God damn
that.
it.
Really?
Yes,
The same one?
the exact same.
Bravo.
It's meant to be. It's meant to be.
Nice. I ranked this one second to last just because except for the one right below this, which was X-Men on my list.
Yes.
I get the visuals were awesome. I get that they introduced magic, which is a totally different thing, but this was the only other movie on this list that didn't try something completely different. This movie, with magic, with this story, was great, but it was still just another Marvel movie with nothing extra added that changed things up.
And I ranked it so low because of the Beyonce line.
All right.
Because that was clearly, we got to put a joke in here. We need it funny.
It was real bad.
What's topical?
It was
Beyonce?
rough. He's like, "Oh, hey, Beyonce," and it was just really weird.
Yeah.
I'm going to be honest. I ranked it the highest out of all of us, but it was nowhere near going to change the rankings or whatever. I had it 3rd.
Nice.
And my reasoning behind that is when we talk about movies, a coherent movie as a whole, this was one of the better ones as opposed to pacing problems, chopping problems,
Sure.
Not compelling characters, or even, just Stephen Amell looking in a character going, I want to be a cop.
It fit the Marvel mold. It fit the mold, but that's not enough anymore.
I understand that. It's more along the lines of being able to take a scene like the end, and the more I think about it, I hated it, and I'm liking it more and more. I mentioned that I like it originally to a certain extent. The Dormammu scene of being like, how can we make a ridiculous thing of like he battled Dormammu for years, but make it seem like no time has really passed.
That was good. I did enjoy that ending. And I probably rip on this movie more than I should, but
as I said,
how I feel.
Had nothing. Me ranking it third had no impact on this whatsoever because that equaled 28. Keep in mind, these are golf scores.
Sure.
Our third movie comes in at number 15.
Comes in with 15 points.
15 points. Only beating out our second movie by 1 point. Batman vs. Superman.
Oh, fuck you guys.
Wow. I know where Sam ranked it.
This was the best movie of the year.
Yeah. Wow. I'm gonna out somebody here. I know where Steve ranked it, and it's because he hasn't seen the ultimate cut. So,
Steve, if you're listening to this,
damn you,
bite me. All right, I want names right now. Where did you guys rank this movie?
I put this in my top 3. I don't remember exactly.
Joe?
Garrett, you had it third.
Okay.
This got the most number 1 votes.
You goddamn right.
I'm what killed this movie, but I didn't know
What'd
it
you give
until
it?
Joe.
6.
You gave it a 6?
I gave it 6. Yeah.
What was your number 5?
Suicide Squad.
Oh my god.
I liked Suicide Squad better. We talked about that.
That's ridiculous.
I'm at a loss for words.
All right, fisticuffs are up. Let's go. This movie was great.
I might just hang up this Skype call.
It's a possibility. I know Sam loves the extended edition. I'm not a huge fan of while I think it adds story to the beginning, the fight scene is not as compelling to me. The Batman Superman fight scene I don't find as compelling. I think that needs to be quicker. They
added like 20 seconds to it.
It felt longer.
That's because
longer.
It was. Oh my god! Every part of this movie was made better because of that extended cut.
Agreed.
And maybe you could argue that we're not counting the extended cut. I would still put it.
But
as
even if we're
one.
extended cut, I don't want. I've never wanted a movie that was 3 hours long. At this point, if it's going to be 3 hours long, I'd rather have a television series.
Oh, that's not true at all.
Yes,
for me.
Oh, okay.
If you told me that the Ben Affleck Batman movie was going to be 3 hours long, I'd
be like,
I got to change my pants.
No, I would say give me 2 movies. Cut it, make it 2 movies.
2 3-hour-long movies.
No. My threshold really is about 2.5 hours of sitting through an entire movie.
Hey, man.
Civil War was over 2.5 hours.
That's fine.
What'd you give Civil War?
I put it as number 2.
What a dick.
It didn't seem like 2.5 hours, though, I'll be honest, as opposed to Batman vs. Superman, which feels long to me. It feels long. And these are characters that I love and care about what's going on in this universe, and it still feels like sitting through an eternity with this.
I need to amend that. Civil War was 2 hours and 27 minutes, whereas Batman v Superman was 2 hours and 31 minutes. So
you could feel those 4 minutes. Okay, this movie was not without its flaws. I will give you that.
Yes.
In both cuts, this movie was not without its flaws. But this movie made me look more forward to the future than any of the other movies had. And this movie, similar to what you said in terms of liking these characters, these are the characters that I care about most. And I was extremely happy with the way that they were both portrayed. And again, that seems to be the trend of what's most important to me is portrayal of characters rather than story. So for me, that's why I put it as number 1. And Batman is obviously, as I think everybody knows, that's my favorite. And I think that it's a poor choice of words, but I think that Ben Affleck killed it in this movie.
Oh, no. And keep in mind, the man who ranked this 6th being me, I'll argue the fact that I don't care that Batman kills people. I don't care.
I like it now.
That Lex had a file on everyone and it was their symbols. I'll argue that those stuff are completely fine. That is not my problem with this movie at all. My problem with this movie is the doomsday growing lighting around him. I never did understand that.
So he was releasing energy. Except for that first time. Don't worry about the first time.
You mean before the nuclear blast?
Yes. Every time he exploded beforehand, it was because he was absorbing energy. But that first time, he was just real upset.
Okay.
Well, it's like Sam said, it's not without its flaws, and I think people like, I know Charlie also really likes it a lot, and I think we can all admit that there are things wrong with the movie that are goofy or don't make sense. But I think one of the reasons I ranked it my highest, and it was kind of hard to make the rest of the list number wise, is just because it was something different, and that kind of goes back to what Sam was saying earlier, like. It compared to the list of comic book movies we have already gotten, as far as the entire MCU, any of the Fox universe, like Batman v Superman was a different step it was a step in a different direction, and so it was refreshing to see that, and characters that we love as well.
Yeah. The only thing that I would say was on that level of trying something different, I put as number 2, which I'm sure we'll be getting to shortly because we haven't brought it up yet, and that's how lists work.
Absolutely. Coming in at number 2, Civil War.
Okay, that's how I thought I was going to fly out. All right.
Getting only one first place vote.
What a dick. Spider-Man was in it. We get it.
A2, Brute.
Hey, man.
Garrett, you talk about this one. We've cut you out for a good chunk of this. Tell me about it.
No, I mean, I felt like Civil War was just a nice continuation of it. It wasn't as good as a story as Winter Soldier was, but it was a nice continuation of that. It was a nice way to introduce new characters, introduce the bad blood and everything that's going on, and it was kind of what you guys were saying. It's a step in the new direction of where they're trying to go with this now that they've got a few more properties that they can add into this world. And I think they did it really well, and yeah, Spider-Man was in it, so of course it's like
I'll build off what you said, Garrett, in the fact that. To me, Civil War is going to be what they want Infinity War to be.
Yeah.
This felt like a culmination of movies building towards something that you could see woven into the background with Captain America and Iron Man ever since the very first Avengers movie 3 years prior. Mm-hmm. Or 4 years, 4 years prior at this point. And so like I said, Civil War felt like that season finale to a TV show where the tensions have been building, let's shake everything up, have the dramatic conclusion, and now find out where they go from there. I don't think Infinity War will be nearly as satisfying as Civil War was, because we've only been getting glimpses of Thanos being like, gloves are cool. We haven't really been getting anything building in the background. Now maybe we start with Ragnarok.
I think that's going to start.
But we had the build up there.
Yeah.
And that's why Civil War was satisfying to me, even though I would rather had the purple helmet Zemo, the purple mask Zemo. I'm just saying, I want that with Chemical X, adhesive Chemical X, which is why he can't remove that mask. I want that instead.
Chemical X.
I mean, he's another Marvel villain. It's not a big deal. I think it's similar to what you said, and it's similar to why I like Batman vs Superman so much, is because it did get me excited and let me know these people, they can do, especially the Russo brothers in particular, they can pull off Infinity War. I have confidence that they're going to be able to put all these characters in. I don't feel like any characters were scrubbed for time. I thought everybody got their due worth. And so that's what I really enjoyed about this movie, is it makes me think, okay, this is going to culminate and not be a complete shit show. Yeah. It was strong. I think I put it as number 3. Strong movie. It had its comedic elements. Everybody was on point. I think, again, if I get Robert Downey Jr. is the face of this organization, but I still think Chris Evans is the best.
Oh,
when it comes to portraying his character, and he's able to pull off that resolute,
which is a total
stoic
shocker, by the way, when you look back on it. Because I'll be honest, I was not saying prior to 2011 the Human Torch from Fantastic Four and the dude from Not Another Teen Movie. Yeah, let him play the most stoic superhero outside of Superman ever.
I think this is an argument that I would think you would make with more DC fanboys or things, but when you look at DC characters, they stand for things a little bit more than Marvel characters do.
Yeah.
Captain America, beyond all other characters, besides maybe Spider-Man, is in this running too. He means something, and for him to be able to portray that character without being hokey, I'm kicking back to the original Avengers line of where he said there's only one God and he doesn't look like that. For him to pull that off without seeming corny, and for the Russo brothers to make this such a massive film with so many characters in it, but still have it at its core being about him, and that is clearly felt. That's
a testament to
important.
filmmaking.
That's important. And that's something that can't be overlooked. Batman vs. Superman is still better, though.
That's fine.
Tyler, want to weigh in on it?
I agree.
That was really eloquently put on my part. So.
All right. The number one, and once again, this because it's an average, not ranked lower than 2 by any one of us, and Deadpool coming in at number 1.
I'll sit this one out for the first couple minutes.
It's just literally, you're talking about, one, it was a film that everyone wanted to see, and I honestly believe that up until this point, I would have said your most perfect world in a comic book film ever was Batman Begins. I feel like Deadpool probably overtook that with taking you into his world, not the X-Men's world, his world, the way he views life, and showing you the perfect version of that character from comic to screen and the world that surrounds him.
See, I think that I'll agree with that for sure. And I know that I did not like it as much as it seemed a lot of people did when it first came out. But I still, like we said earlier, it was something different as far as comic book movies go. And it did what it did well. Like, yeah, it might have been a little too much on some jokes and like some of the stuff, I rolled my eyes at. But at the end of the day,
at times, yeah.
It was, it sought out to do a thing differently, like you said, Joe, in its own world, and it did it well. I mean, yeah, it succeeded. So
I think this kind of loops back around to what Sam was saying about the DC universe, and it's like portrayal.
Exactly.
This was a T portrayal of what at least I've been viewing Deadpool as, what I feel like a lot of people have been viewing Deadpool as, So,
I mean, so basically two things with this for me for why Deadpool was such a huge success. One, just in terms, and these kind of play off of each other. One is in terms of artistic choice. This was a perfect example, and although it took 10 years to do, this was a perfect example of a studio saying, do what you want to do, we trust you. Did it take a leading man like Ryan Reynolds to get that to go? Sure. But they trusted it was Tim Miller, right? Mm-hmm. They trusted Tim Miller, and they trusted Ryan Reynolds to do their vision. You never heard anything about once this movie started rolling, you never heard problems about artistic compromise. You never heard problems about anything being taken for granted or any of that element. It was the perfect recipe that I think shows if you let people make these movies the way that they're supposed to be made or the way that their vision is, you're going to get an amazing product. Hopefully, if you have the right people in the right position. And now what that transitions to is this situation is what I thought the DC universe was begging for.
Right.
We're leaving this to the creatives. We're letting them do it. We write our check and then we back off because these people know what people like. Our surveys, our demographic analysis doesn't show what people like. They know what people like. And I think that what I'm hoping, again, is something we talked about in the past, is that I hope that's what people take out of Deadpool and not, well, if we're raunchy, people like it. It's that if you leave it to the creatives, if you leave it to the people that are passionate about it, you're going to, again, if you put the right people in place, more often than not, get something that's special, get something that works, get something that makes money, and that's what it's all about, because everybody wins. So Deadpool, even above Batman vs. Superman, that's what they did right, and that's why this movie is so special.
I think it's something to mention as well, Sam. You said this movie, took years and years to make, and all this artistic integrity was kept intact. The script for it leaked, years and years ago.
Yeah,
the script leaked, and I know Charlie Pixley on Movie Versus podcast, your brother and everything. He read that script a long time ago. He told me that it still stayed pretty closely to that original script that was leaked years and years ago.
Yep. Oh, and sorry, the only other thing that left with this is this to me is a big fuck you to Fox. Like, hey, do these goddamn X-Men the way they're supposed to be done, people will buy it. Bryan Singer has done, I like Bryan Singer. I think that he's good. But just Colossus in this movie alone should shake somebody in that executive room or shake somebody on the creative side and say, hey, do these X-Men the way they're supposed to be done. They will be more memorable. They will be more interesting. They will be better.
And see, that's kind of, I think that was why I was the only one that ranked X-Men a little bit higher than everyone else, is I'm willing to turn a blind eye to that because to a certain extent, we're still dealing with a franchise that was brought forth in 2000. We're still playing with the old rules, technically, sadly, in that universe.
Yeah.
And until we end it, and I think we finally will, once Logan is, I'm even going to go on a limb here and say, Logan will close out this X-Men universe,
It might.
and Deadpool will be like, no, that was a completely separate thing, and you know, and
Jennifer Lawrence said she'd rather be in a Guardians of the Galaxy movie than another X-Men movie.
Good.
I don't want her to be in it.
Not good. I don't want her there.
No, I think you're right. This is an entity that is essentially was crippled from the start. Not from the start, but has been crippled because of its start.
Exactly.
And so it's an old geezer now, and unfortunately, it needs to kind of be reborn. But you hit an interesting spot with them where Fassbender and
Fassbender and
McAvoy, they were the right players to put in this.
Correct.
At the wrong time.
But at the wrong time.
Yes, I would agree with that 100%.
Sad.
But don't be too sad. I don't think we're getting 7 next year. Do you know how many we're getting next year? Comic book movies?
Not as many, I don't think.
No.
I want to say 5.
We're
Thor.
getting three Marvel.
2 DC.
What are we getting? Thor, Spider-Man,
Guardians.
Is it
Wonder Woman,
not
Justice League.
Infinity War, right?
That's 18. That's 2018.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's 2018.
And then
Wonder Woman and Justice League.
Wonder Woman, Justice League. There's got to be something else.
Deadpool 2 ?
I doubt it.
Don't think we're getting it.
If
Yeah, only 5 next year. So
Gambit.
no, as we said.
Isn't that ridiculous though that we're saying only 5?
Right.
That's almost one every 2 months. We're like, oh man, what a drought.
No, that's what we're saying. 7 this year. That's why this was such
coming out next year too.
a big deal.
Might be.
I think we know Black Panther's February of 2018.
Okay.
That's why this was such a big deal. You may never get 7 again. There was a lot.
I'd be okay.
of comic
if
movies
we
this
just
year.
maxed out with 5, 6 maybe.
I'm good to go back to the old days of 3. There's almost too much overload. But we're still looking at the year that was 2016 coming up.
Logan.
Oh,
Logan.
And Power Rangers.
the one we forget is
The one that's probably going to be the best out of all of them.
no,
No,
I
you
was,
guys were
Justice
just talking
League.
about.
I was saying the one we were just talking about, the universe we were just talking about, the one we're like needs to stop. We're gonna get the final swan song for it.
Wouldn't that be great if in Logan he was like, yeah, I killed everybody. Like he actually does an old man Logan, but they're like, great, reset it.
Yep. Actually, I would love it. That's the only reason I'm looking forward to Logan is it's Jackman's swan song. But we've covered that before. Anyways, I was saying, looking forward to looking back still on 2016. We're going to talk about TVs, movies, and comics, and what is the most and strangest news story that stuck out to all of us this year.
3 Wise Radio!
And now, Bryan Shcilligo tells us whether Harry Potter and the Cursed Child is good bad or bad bad.
So there's a scene in Cursed Child where they break into so Albus and Severus, or Scorpius, which is Draco's son, they're using a time turner to go back in time to save Cedric Diggory's life. The time travel problems of this book aside, which they are legion, because time travel is a nightmare in pretty much any unless you just completely bullshit it away. But so there's a scene where they go back to the Ministry, and in one of the universes, Hermione, in the main universe, Hermione's the Minister of Magic, Harry's the head of defense, or it gets really complicated and weird. But in the original, they have to break into the Ministry of Magic to steal the time turner. And when they do that, they use Albus Potter and Scorpius Malfoy use Polyjuice Potion, and Albus becomes Ron, and Ron's married to Hermione, obviously, and Scorpius becomes Harry, I think. So Albus as Ron runs into Hermione, who is his aunt, in the Ministry of Magic, and he kisses her like 6 times with her thinking he is not, like she tries to kiss him and he's like, oh, what? No, like he actively kisses her on the mouth several times, and then afterwards him and Scorpius high five about it, and I'm like, no, you literally just sexually assaulted your aunt. Like she thought you were her husband and you weren't. Not to mention that you were her nephew. and it's like played off as a joke, and I like thought I was taking crazy pills. I'm like, this is the weirdest fucking thing that's ever. It's not Emma Watson because it's the. Well, I mean, sure, if you want to. In the stage play, Hermione's black, but what I think it was I think she wrote a play because she thought she wanted to do a play, or somebody came with her and said, hey, we want to do a play, offered her a bunch of money. I think she wrote it with the idea of this is a fun story that if you're going to come see this play, it's got lots of callbacks, and, you know, it's like we get all the gang back together. We get to go revisit old, like, because that's when they start traveling back into Harry's timeline. They travel back to the Triwizard Tournament to try to save Cedric. So you get to go, you get to all the fun nostalgia of like, oh, look, it's the Triwizard Tournament, blah, 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 blah. And then it's basically ends up being a story about Albus and Harry bonding and then defeating the daughter of Voldemort. If they had never released it as a book and it had just been a play and like not really canon, I'd totally be fine with it as just like a fun thing. Like it's a silly, it's a silly fun experience where you get to go see all these characters you love. And they fucking have a scene where Albus Potter gets to tell Snape how much he meant to Harry, and so because he goes to another timeline where Severus doesn't die, and he gets to tell Snape like how awesome he is, and Snape's like, oh, thanks. Like I said, it's like the most fan fiction-y thing ever. Like that, it's literally like somebody was writing fan fiction, and it's like I said, as a play, like if I was in a theater watching it and just having fun, sure. But like reading it as a book as like part of the story, it's like this is the worst. This is the worst thing ever.
2016, what a long, depressing year it's been.
It's not been that bad.
I was younger when this year started, Sam.
According to social media, death is exclusive to 2016. Like,
False.
people have only died in 2016.
False.
So, like, this is a shitty year, dude.
I'm willing to gamble that people have died in other years as well.
Well, hey, I'm gonna let you guys know this right now. Joe, you said the exact same thing about 2015 at the last annual podcast, that it was a rough year.
It's always a rough year. There's never such thing as a good year.
Yeah, moral of the story, it's always a rough year.
What do you mean it's a rough year? It's a good thing. Look at us. We're all sitting here. We've all got a little beer. Compliments
Sam,
of Garret. Not you, Tyler. This isn't about you. We're all sitting around.
Harambe
We've
died,
had
Sam.
How
was it a good year?
We're in a new studio.
We moved. But we're doing a podcast. I think it's going pretty well. How many episodes have we had this year?
Lots.
This year alone?
52?
No.
One would
48, 48-ish.
48-ish? That's good. Hey, man, things are going good. We could be homeless in the gutter.
You could be.
Which is not that far off, I might add. All right, looking back at 2016.
I'm trying to be nice.
Sam, I love your optimism. I love
Thanks,
it.
man.
I'm with you.
Let's start with the world of television. Garrett, what in TV stuck out for you in 2016? The only requirement is it must have aired a new episode in the calendar year of 2016. Could already be off the air. Could have started.
Man, Luke Cage.
Okay.
Luke Cage
funky.
is my one that stuck out this year. I mean, it didn't end on such a strong note, but pretty much the entire show up until like the last half hour was just really strong. And I know we talked about it before, but like the music was interwoven so well. Just the themes of like old school hip hop and all that, and like all of it just very prominent, and it resonated with me very well. So,
and a good use of a character that has already been established.
Yeah.
Like we've gotten a second season to Daredevil, but this is more so a sequel to Luke Cage himself too. Like, we know who the character himself is, so now let's really play with him. And by that, they were able to go more into his backstory, and I feel bring that character to life a little bit more.
Yeah, it's one of the best TV spin-offs ever.
I would
So,
agree.
Technically.
well, Mork for Mork is better. But hey, Garrett, as someone who, just a quick question. I didn't really like Daredevil season 2. I'd never finished Daredevil season 2, but I really liked Jessica Jones season 1. Mm-hmm. Now that you've had time to, kind of think about Luke Cage, would you really recommend it to be like, hey, yeah, go watch this based off of what I just told you of myself?
Yeah, because I mean, like, I feel like with Daredevil, it's all about like there's a lot of like intricate plots and shit. Whereas like with Luke Cage, it's all about character, not necessarily like so much like the stories, but like it's about a person's individual character, and
yeah.
I feel like Jessica Jones kind of had a lot of that too. So I feel like it'll kind of be in that same vein for you.
Sam, what did you have for TV?
Dude, I hate to do this, but for me, it was the year of Game of Thrones. Just because
because you watched all of it.
I didn't watch any of it until this year.
That's okay. I thought you were gonna say Arrow. So
I did too. I was like, no.
No, I haven't started watching that yet, but I will be. It's my break plan. Yeah, I mean, it was such an amazing experience to sit down and watch it. And it's just a really impressive show. And I mean, even if you don't like Joe, you personally don't like the medieval fantasy element,
right.
That's not your genre. But even you looking at the production value, you can't argue that it's the best produced TV show on TV.
Up until I was forced to watch, and I'm using the word forced if we all know the backstory. Up until I was forced to watch season 1, I had watched more makings of Game of Thrones than I had watched actual episodes. And I'm not talking like 1 to 0. Like, I'd watch about 6 or 7 of them. Like, because it actually is impressive, like how they're able to cohesively do the story, filming on 2 locations at once, just knowing the time and trouble it goes into when you're based in Vancouver and writing in LA, to be based in a city writing and then be shooting on
all over the globe
on another country and then in another country simultaneously on 2 different episodes. Like, that's impressive.
The structure is
from a production standpoint.
Fair enough. I was gonna say another HBO show, Westworld. I mean, is beautiful as far as production wise. Like, it is shot beautifully, and so that's. But as far as spanning multiple continents, countries, whatever, that is impressive.
Was Westworld yours, Tyler? Or
no, because I knew it was going to be yours.
Well, my other other one is Stranger Things. I'm just kidding. I haven't watched that fucking show.
Oh,
and I don't care if anybody. I'm sure it's good, but I don't care. I don't like that little girl. What's her name?
Millie Bobby Brown.
11.
I think it's LG, short for little girl.
Yeah, I don't like that little girl because now she's in these like Chase credit card commercials where she's like being mean to adults about handling their finances.
I haven't
like,
seen that.
This girl is either A, too young to know about finances as her character, or so fuck off, or B, she's already wealthy because she's an actress and she has people to do her finances. So don't frolic around talking to moms like, hey, would you rather pole dance or talk to your daughter about how you're saving for college education? Life's hard, lady.
So you're the one that started the hashtag Bring Jimmy Fallon back for the Chase commercials. Like, I didn't.
I don't think I started that because I didn't know that he was doing those commercials. But for some reason, those commercials. This is not feigned anger. Those commercials really bother me. I am not okay with that.
Good thing about not having cable television. I've never seen any of those commercials.
Oh, dude, they're horrible.
If I had a little kid come up to me and be like, "Hey, you're doing your finances wrong," I'd be like, "Fuck you."
Yeah,
no, I know.
With you, Garret.
And I don't feel bad for telling you this swear word because you clearly are well knowledged in finance, so you know about the world.
Now I'm just waiting for someone to post on the site that's not the same actress, but I'm pretty sure it is.
It is. It is.
Yeah, dude, I'm not okay with that, and I probably won't watch Stranger Things because of that.
Okay, I'll allow it because apparently that commercial was also part of TV for 2016. But mine was Westworld. Tyler, what's yours? What was your TV show that stuck out?
We're just going to glaze over Westworld. I agree with you, though, Joe. Westworld is really good. I think that people give it flack for not having as deep of character development, but I think that it's
been one season. Yeah,
it's one season, and I think they've done deep enough character development on the characters that matter, I guess, that makes it interesting enough to, move the interesting story along.
Okay, if you want to break it down.
It's funny that you said both of those shows, Sam, because I have those on TV shows that I have not watched, but I want to, Stranger Things and Game of Thrones. But I'm going to say BoJack Horseman as my top TV show of 2016.
Give me in a sentence why I should watch BoJack Horseman.
You should watch BoJack Horseman because it is a show that uses the cartoon medium and anthropomorphic animals as a way to mask the amount of depression and self-reflection and all that stuff that actually most people deal with. It just uses those things as jokes, as an overlay, while the overarching story is actually about this guy who's a broken person who is trying to be happy.
think maybe if like
Sad.
Rick and Morty focused more on Rick.
I was gonna say, if you just did all the sad parts of Rick and Morty,
Oh
that's what
no,
this
yeah,
show is.
it's real sad sometimes. But at the same times, when it's sad, it will be funny. Like you'll be like, "Oh fuck," and then somebody will make a joke and you'll laugh at it. And then there's a lot of intricate details with. Since it's a Netflix show, you know, they can make everything will be released at the same time. So there's a lot of background stuff that you're like, oh shit, that's going on. Oh, this is happening. Oh, this was mentioned season 1 and now it's happening in season 3. Okay. Stuff like that. It's actually a legitimately great show, well written. There's an episode in season 3 that critics love, but is kind of divisive between fans. I'm not a huge fan of the episode, but it's completely silent except for, a few lines in the beginning and the end. The entire episode has no dialogue. And as far as, even though I'm not a huge fan of the episode, I think that it's a pretty great achievement for me to be able to watch it and not be completely bored.
So they just stole it from Buffy.
Yeah, I think that's actually a little like disclaimer in the episode. It says BT Dubs stole from Buffy. But other than that,
this was all more than one sentence, but I think I'll give it a try.
Yeah, I would say just like with most shows, especially like Netflix shows, I would say give it a few episodes. BoJack specifically, give it 6 episodes because then like at episode 6 it really starts to kind of get into its like churning of, oh hey, here's this overarching story, here's how everything connects, here's how everything goes. Before then it just kind of, for me specifically, it was like, oh hey, I'm watching this show in the background. But then all
right,
gotcha. All right, let's move on to some movies. Garrett, what movie stuck out for you in 2016?
Oh shit.
What movie stuck out for you?
We talked about all the movies.
Those are all the movies
non-comic book movie
What are those?
stuck out for you in 2016?
Garrett?
I'm
Passengers.
pass.
I thought he died.
Somebody else go right now.
It was Rogue One.
Ugh.
Everyone just ignored my text?
I got one. Sadly, the list of movies that I put together was, again, this is the same. I said I wasn't going to do this last year. Same thing as last year. My list is movies that I wish I had seen.
Yeah.
Hail Caesar.
I own it. You can borrow it.
It's a lot of work.
It's in the room next to you.
Yeah, but that's like across the street. Arrival, I wish I had seen.
I agree with you.
One that probably really stood out for me.
Arrival's still in theaters.
Was not Independence Day Resurgence, but one that stood out for me was actually Jungle Book.
I would agree with that. Yeah,
Jungle Book was, I think, similar to TMNT. Was low expectations yield sometimes the best results. Mm-hmm. But I thought that was a really impressive movie, and similar to, I guess maybe this is inaccurate, but correct me if I'm wrong. Similar to what Andy Serkis did with the animation of the chimps, this did for just. Almost sounds dumb, but this did that for not that, but just for making creatures that don't need to look like humans, but making me buy into
looks
their
like
character.
He is in
I gotcha.
the jungle with those animals
on Netflix,
the entire time.
Yeah, like the tiger doesn't look like a human. Like I'm like, oh man, Andy Serkis, what a triumph! He looks just like a tiger human, but it's just like I'm buying into it. Like they're clearly animated,
and not
but
it's a testament to that kid acting. We talked about this when we did our movie train review on it.
Yeah, that kid killed it.
Yeah, to be able to act like that and only get like signs off of like another actor, but it's not the actor that's going to be on screen with him, is amazing at like the age of 12 or whatever he was at.
Yeah,
it's very impressive.
I also have my biggest question mark movie for 2016, if that means anything.
Okay,
Warcraft, because I don't think we'll get another one, and that is by far the biggest. That series, for something that I'm passionate about, has so much potential for what's so popular right now, which is a franchise, like just a huge saga of movies. That world is so expansive and has so much potential for all of that, but I don't think we're going to get it because they did have a few missteps in this movie.
It made a lot of money in China.
It made a lot of money overseas, but I don't think that's enough. because I think with these movies, you're either all in or all out in terms of like, yep, let's make this multiple movies, let's make this a thing. And I don't think you're going to get that.
I might be to blame a little bit because I went to a real advanced screening where they gave me the CGI wasn't even finished, and they gave me a little like thing to fill out about the movie. So sorry if that wasn't exactly what you wanted.
I blame you almost in whole. No, I liked the movie, but I don't think for the public, I think it's just.
I mean, I played some World of Warcraft, but I'm not as into the lore as you are.
The world isn't. We're still looking for a good video game movie. I don't think the world's ready for a video game franchise yet.
We had a great video game movie. It was called Mortal Kombat. Tyler.
And Silent Hill.
As far as movies go, I'm just going to go down the list real quick. As Sam said, there's a lot of one to see that I haven't seen yet, like Manchester by the Sea, Nice Guys, Hell or High Water, Moonlight. Yeah. Then I'm gonna interject with stuff that I had to see for the podcast that made it impossible for me to see those movies.
Legends of Tarzan,
God's Not Dead 2, Angry Birds, Legend of Tarzan, and Disappointments Room. Movies that I got to see that I actually liked were Star Trek Beyond, Don't Breathe, and 10 Cloverfield Lane. I would recommend all those. I feel like Star Trek Beyond didn't get as much recognition as it should have. It was kind of classic Star Trek with a modern take, and it was a lot of fun. And then the other two were just great thriller type movies.
I would agree. I wanted to see Don't Breathe, and as far as Star Trek goes, I haven't heard a bad review about it yet from people that have actually seen the movie.
It's the best Star Trek movie out of the new batch of movies, in my opinion.
It's awesome. You mentioned The Nice Guys. That was actually mine. I rented it not too long ago. I thought it was great. Shane Black, regardless of what you think of Iron Man 3, he didn't write it. He just
Does it take place
it.
during Christmas? Oh, he didn't write it. Never mind.
Yes. He didn't write it. Shane Black has yet to direct a bad movie to me.
Iron Man 3.
No. Once again, it's the Zack Snyder argument. I'll argue that's not him. If you want to argue that Iron Man 3 is a bad movie because of Shane Black, the argument that Batman vs. Superman is a bad movie because Zack Snyder holds up then, in my personal opinion.
If you want to see him hit or miss in a movie, you don't have to look far away because he is doing the Predator movie.
What about Last Boy Scout?
Oh, Last Boy Scout's a great movie.
Lethal Weapon 2 is not that great.
Lethal Weapon 2 is a great movie. Are you kidding me? The jump from the hotel into the pool?
He also didn't direct
Joe
that.
Pesci?
He wrote both of those movies I just mentioned.
Oh, well, that's fine. He can write a movie then, too. But, The Nice Guys, it's a great movie in the 1970s style. I'm not a Ryan Gosling fan, but I want to see more Gosling and Crowe together
Russell Crowe's the greatest actor of all time, so...
Garrett, what movie stuck out to you in 2016?
Magnificent Seven. Like we talked about, a couple weeks back. Like it did a great
months at this point.
Oh, is it months?
Yeah, I never
September.
saw that.
Damn, I thought it wasn't. I didn't think it was that long ago. No, it did a great job of reflecting Seven Samurai, while still kind of sticking in that Western feel, and it was just a great modern adaptation of the previous Magnificent Seven. Fantastic Beasts. It was just a great movie. It captured the magic that I felt reading the books and watching the Harry Potter movies for the first time, and kind of brought that into a new age for me. And then, like Tyler had said, Moonlight is one of those movies that's been on my list that just looks really good, and I really want to see it, but I just haven't gotten around to it. So.
All right, looking at comic books, this is going to be a little bit harder for most of us, considering I think we've jumped off the comic books as much as we have been actually themselves in the past years. But comic book or graphic novel that came out in 2016. Tyler, do you have one?
Yeah, it's actually going to be the exact... I probably like you guys, I fell off the weekly buying comics kind of mid this year. But my comic book recommendation is going to be the exact same as it was last year. Paper Girls and Howard the Duck both were... Howard the Duck ended as far as Chip Zdarsky's run on the the character in the series. I don't know if it's still ongoing at all. I know that he ended his run, and he even said, he was like, hey, no, I ended it on my terms. It's not like Marvel canceling me. I said, hey, this is my story. I'm going to tell it. And it was great. It was awesome. And then Paper Girls was still ongoing when I kind of dropped all my weekly comics, but that was a story that I was it was one of the few that was hard to stop getting because it was so good. So those two I would say are up there. And hey, read these, especially Howard the Duck, because now you can get a pack of trades of the Howard the Duck Chip Zdarsky run. So I would highly recommend those.
Sounds good. Sam, what was a comic book or graphic novel that stuck out to you in 2016?
Biggest thing for me was also it was just the biggest change, and this is a little, I mean, comics themselves aren't mainstream. The comic book world is mainstream, but for me it was Snyder stepping down from Batman. I think out of anything that's been written in the last 5 years, that has been the most prolific run. I know, Joe, you're not the biggest fan of it. You'd like to, I think you appreciate it, but you'd like to see him write single issues.
I would like to
what
see
about
the story.
What about
building.
All-Star Batman? He's still writing that?
He's on that, but this run, for me,
I gotcha.
was a special run, much like I really enjoyed I'm totally blanking on Azzarello's run on Wonder Woman. That was a special run.
Gotcha.
This run was special to me. It's when a writer really connects with a character and is able to, a character that's been around for 75 years is able to tell stories that, I mean, honestly, all the stories have been done. It's all happened already, but tell them in a refreshing way that I completely buy into. And when you also partner that with an artist that connects so closely with the way that you write, that's a special thing that only this medium has. That was a really unique ending to me. And when I did finish that comic and I put that down, I was like, wow, okay, this is done. I'm still getting the other comics, but I'm still continuing the Batman comic, but it's just not the same. It's just, it feels different. And I think that's what's impressive, is when an artist and a writer are able to put their stamp on something so strongly.
No, I would agree. And like I said, it's not my favorite, but I actually, as far as long boxes, I took all mine home, but I kept the Batman one.
The thing that sucks about the Snyder Capullo run, to me, is the ending when they kind of set up the fact that they can continue without them, where he like gets regenerated and can do, he's like, oh, hey, I'm like Batman like before.
Without any injuries.
That's the weak point, in my opinion.
But the thing with that is I've also come to a point where I've come to an understanding, like, that's what comics are. That's not going to change. I get that we talk about how I love the Ultimate Universe. I think that's a smart idea to completely reimagine everything. But for the most part, these are going to be stories that are told over and over and over again, because, again, they are modern myths. So we're not going to stop getting Batman stories, and we're going to get some Batman stories about him being old. But for the most part, we're going to be recycling things over and over again. So when that kind of stuff happens, it doesn't bother me anymore, because I've accepted that that's the medium we chose.
That's fair.
Yep.
Yeah. That's a fair statement. Garrett, what comic book stuck out to you in 2016?
I only read the issue 1 just because I wanted to get it. What Black Panther 1.
It was a really well-selling comic.
Yeah, at the time, like,
one of the biggest, I believe.
It broke records.
Mm-hmm.
It was huge. I would have wanted to, but I just, at that point, I was kind of falling off, so I just didn't. And then the clone conspiracy. I don't remember if it's. Yeah,
it's still
out.
going on.
No, so basically this character, guised as the Jackal, has been bringing back all these people from Spider-Man's past that were dead. Gwen Stacy, Doc Octopus, Electro, like all these other people that were, it's like, these guys were dead. And it turns out that it's Ben Reilly. Ben Reilly's back. So I thought that was just like a
clones on clones.
Wait, as a Spider-Man fan, if you hear the word clone, does it get you excited or upset or nervous? What is your reaction?
Terrified.
Yeah. What is your reaction when you hear the word new clone story from Spider-Man? Like, seriously, are you happy, sad, angry, like hungry? Like, what is your visceral reaction?
Initially, I was kind of nervous and scared about it because we all know how that last Clone Saga went. But
the Ultimate Clone Saga wasn't bad.
But now, like, once I started reading to him, it was like, it's not so much introducing more clones. It's just like it's a conspiracy about what all happened in that Clone Saga initially. It is like
It's more of that Clone Saga.
7-Eleven was a part-time job, dude.
It's a continuation of that saga rather than like, here's more
7-Eleven.
clones. So, I don't know. I was initially nervous, but upon reading it, it was fine.
Joe, have you read anything in 2016?
I did, actually.
Anything at all.
Well, no, because he's right. In 2015, I quit getting weekly comics 100%.
You're a coward.
There is one graphic novel I bought in 2016 that was released in 2016, and actually, I liked it. Do you remember what it was?
Do I remember what? Are you looking at me?
Yeah.
I don't know what you buy.
Wonder Woman Earth 1, while written by Grant Morrison.
A talent. What
Gross.
a talent.
Gross.
And I do not like Grant Morrison. If you want to go back to anything I've ever
Thank
done on
you,
the
Joe.
internet, I think some of his runs on Batman is the worst runs ever.
Agreed.
Yeah, probably.
Agreed with Joe. Grant Morrison is the worst. Let's move on.
But the twist in Wonder Woman Earth 1, where it takes her origins from what she was made with clay, because that's the Wonder Woman origin story.
And shits all over it.
Basically, it does. And it's like,
all he does.
do you think that was a real thing? But it gave a reason to why there is no men on Amazonia, on Theramascara with the Amazons. It gave a reason to why Wonder Woman is more powerful than all the other Amazons.
She buff.
And and spoiler alert, it's because she is the son of
Zeus.
It's because she's the son.
sorry, she's yes. I'm blanking on her mother's
She's
name.
the,
Queen, Hera,
daughter
right?
of Hercules.
Yes, daughter of Hercules, and Hera's her mom,
Yeah.
right? Hera.
No, her daughter, or her mother is
Zeus.
Hippolyta,
Hippolyta?
right?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't remember.
Yeah, it is. And then the original story is that she was made of clay, but then the New 52 made it that she wasn't made of clay. It was actually Zeus's daughter.
Right. Well, in this one, she's Hercules' daughter, but she's the product of rape. So,
Oh, boy.
yeah.
Sounds like Grant Morrison in typical fashion.
It is, but because it's so well contained and it is just one book, you're not confused like you are going through his Superman run, being like, when does this take place again? Because I haven't read this in 4 weeks, so I'm not quite sure where I'm picking up at.
I can get behind a contained Grant Morrison.
Nope.
I can see how that's interesting.
Nope. Grant Morris sits down, and anytime you tell him like, "Hey, this is the way things are," he's like, "No. I'm smart because it's not the way things are."
No, he
This
goes,
is the way
no.
things are.
It's actually knows it's a comic, and then it starts like fucking, there's an ant head, and then he just starts beating off, and everybody's confused.
That's also accurate.
News stories from 2016. What news story stuck out to you guys in 2016? Sam, you don't know any? You don't have one? You don't have one? Garrett, do you have one?
Man, wasn't Harambe this year?
Yes, it was. You goddamn right it was.
Tyler, is
R.I.P.
Harambe yours?
R.I.P. Harambe.
Harambe was this year. You better not say that Cincinnati Zoo. Yeah, that was the goofiest headline. That Cincinnati Zoo asked everybody to stop making memes.
No,
But that
and
was
that's-
not my one.
That's the thing. Harambe is mine.
Oh,
Because
it's not mine.
Keep in mind, if you Google Harambe, the first thing that pops up is a Wikipedia page called "The Killing of Harambe."
He's a goddamn hero.
So,
yeah, you're right.
so who wants to explain the story of Harambe real quick?
So a kid who's probably the kid of some real shit parents was at the Cincinnati Zoo, and he climbed over the enclosure, and he fell into the gorilla pit. And Harambe, the gorilla who was there at the time, grabbed the kid and still questionably
In gorilla fashion.
drug him across the water, and then eventually grabbed him, pulled him up, and seemed to be potentially protecting him. But better safe than sorry, said the Cincy Zoo, instead of tranking him, because he would then, apparently before you trank animals, before they pass out, they get really aggressive because they don't know what's going on and they feel like they're being drugged. Just shot him dead. A travesty.
And the reason this is my news story is because the last 2 lines of our intro is technology and everything else media related.
Harambe.
Even more than the election this year.
Harambe was part of the election this year.
Yes. You have not been barraged by
Correct.
memes, stories, songs, books, television. Like, there is a medium. I don't think there is a medium that Harambe did not cross.
And you know what, Joe? You're lucky you can't see under this table because my dick's out for Harambe.
Same here, Sam. Same here. Let's slap dicks.
So that's why Harambe is my biggest story of 2016, because it did encompass all of media.
Yes, it did.
Tyler, what's yours?
You know that the Bengals had to request, almost banned people from ordering the jersey Harambe, right?
Wow.
For the Cincinnati Bengals?
No, I didn't know that.
Yes, because so many people were ordering the jersey Harambe with the number 69.
They've only ever done that once.
This is the world we live in.
I forget what...
It was for Vic.
Yeah.
It was for his fake name, whatever his name was, like Gucci Supreme, or it was some ridiculous name like that.
Side note, guess what adhesive company is based out of Cincinnati?
Gorilla Glue?
Gorilla Glue is based out of Cincinnati.
Me Magic, baby, is real.
All right, Tyler, what news story stuck out to you?
Well, you told me the strangest news topic. So this was something that I went with the entire Garret. I don't know if you know this, but I host a podcast called Movie Versus.
Yeah.
And we decided that we would go all in on this one and make it a movie versus what we thought the strangest news story was of this year. And we found an NPR article titled Actress Sofia Vergara Sued by Her Own Frozen Embryos.
I saw that article.
And so Charlie, of course, is already writing the screenplay. We're going to do a gritty courtroom drama called Habeas La Corpus, baby. So he's writing the first 30 pages, and we're going to do an exquisite corpse type thing where he does 30 pages, then I get 1 page and do the next 30 pages, whatever. We're still casting the baby, embryos. We figured the baby from 2001: A Space Odyssey would be in contention, and then maybe one of the baby geniuses, or maybe Ashton Kutcher's in the alternate cut of Butterfly Effect, where he is a baby and strangles himself. That baby might be in contention, and I know you're thinking it's embryos. But, Hollywood, you always cast, older and they play younger, so the babies will do fine.
I do have my article.
It's brilliant.
Okay.
Tyler, that's awesome, and I will if I can, I'll give you $50 if I can be an executive producer to that piece.
You're in.
Perfect.
100%.
This is not so much the best of the year, but this just happened like this article in the last week that I thought was worth noting. Apparently, have you guys read this? Apparently, there's been a big issue in the United Kingdom with teenagers spending the night in IKEA stores.
What?
Not heard
So
that.
apparently,
on purpose?
teenagers in the United Kingdom have been
on
having
accident.
slumber parties. It's so the teens can bang, apparently. Have been having slumber parties, hiding in IKEA stores, and then spending the night there. And I think this is just a testament to where we are in the world, that the response hasn't been, let's pepper spray these teens and get these teens the fuck out of here. It's such an epidemic that IKEAs in the United Kingdom are looking into having hosted sleepovers where they'll make it a thing.
I'm sorry, but you said the way the
Capitalism.
world is now. If I remember correctly, the pilot episode of 24 has the daughter of Keith Sullivan banging some dude in a department store.
Right, but it wasn't hosted by Walmart.
Not that you know of.
No, that's true. But I thought that was both ridiculous
It can never
and
be hosted by Walmart.
ridiculous.
Can never be hosted by Walmart.
Also-
They have
1
terrible
hour
beds.
a
I
year.
agree, Garrett.
That's true. Also, IKEA is just those beds aren't that comfortable.
Lies.
Have you ever had a teen sleepover?
I have an IKEA bed.
Oh,
I think it's because the teens actually get lost in IKEA. And so they're like, it's better they stay here.
perfect. All right, that's the news for 2016.
As usual, we end every episode with what's piquing our interest, and just because it's the annual doesn't mean we're going to change it up at all. The only difference is we'll say what's piquing our interest for 2017. But Tyler has done his due diligence. So Tyler, as we go around to everyone saying what is piquing their interest for 2017, I want you to let everyone know what was piquing our interest for 2016, because we've all forgotten.
Of course. I mean, I was the 2015 specialist, so I remember everything that happened in that last podcast. Because, yeah.
All right. But because it is piquing our interest, Garrett, what's piquing your interest for 2017?
Couple things, Joe.
First off, okay.
It's funny you say that, Sam.
Tyler, what was piquing Garrett's interest in 2016? And then we'll get
Garrett, I would like to know if this is still piquing your interest, because what was piquing your interest in 2015 was the Assassin's Creed movie.
The movie's like out, by the way.
Yes. Is your interest still piqued? Do you want to see that movie?
I do want to see it, but
Your interest is not piqued.
my interest is not piqued. Yeah. So no.
Nice.
Was there anything else? Did I have multiple things that day?
No, you were actually. I'll get to it later, but you only had one.
All right.
Is this what our interest was piqued a year ago exactly?
Yeah.
Nice.
Correct. At the last annual episode, Garrett said the Assassin's Creed movie was piquing his interest.
And that movie just came out.
That's right.
Perfect.
Honestly, I would have to say Spider-Man movie.
Okay. I mean, that's fair. Clearly, obviously.
It looks good. I want to see it. Michael Keaton is very intimidating.
He's a talent.
It's a possibility.
I'm ready for it.
All right, Tyler, what was piquing Sam's interest in 2016 before we find out what's piquing his interest in 2017?
Sam, in 2015, your interest was piqued by Doctor Strange. Did that pay out?
Nope.
So we're 2 for 2 as
Why
far
was my
as
interest piqued? I mean, I know why, but
I think it was because you were interested to see how it was going to pan out with magic. And
it
everything.
was because his photos first released of him with the
the
in
symbols.
full garb.
with the eye and all that jazz. Okay. Yeah, I mean, he still looks dope, but
I guess we're 0 for 2.
nah, I'm over it. Piquing my interest for 2017, just to kind of mix it up, because I think we kind of all know where the comic book scene is going. Virtual reality. I think this year was kind of the year of the launch, and as most people know in the video game world, the year of the launch is shit.
Yep.
But
Yes.
I played the Resident Evil the teaser or the demo, and it scared the shit out of me in VR. So I'm excited to see if that is going to stay with what it looks like it's going to be right now, which is kind of a gimmicky. It's not the future, but it's something different that you do every now and then, or if it's going to have a bigger holding in the video game world. Because I think the video game world is something that's constantly evolving, but we've also kind of hit that peak where graphics can only look so good, and we're going to need something else to mix it up. So that interests me immensely.
Okay.
You know what's interesting about Resident Evil 7?
No.
That I don't know if it's how confirmed this is, but you know how it's Biohazard in Japan, or it's the name of the series is Biohazard.
And so this one is called Biohazard.
No, it's called Biohazard Resident Evil in Japan, but in America or the Western side, every other place it's called Resident Evil Biohazard.
Well, right. But they call it Biohazard in Japan, but the name of this game is Resident Evil Biohazard, so wouldn't it be called Biohazard?
No,
7?
they flipped it. So in Japan, it's Biohazard Resident Evil.
That's
what I'm
doesn't
saying.
make any sense.
But no, because the evil is used for the VII for 7.
Oh.
So fuck you.
Those Japs, man, they're crazy. Joe, how about you?
Tyler, what did you have last year?
Oh, yeah, Tyler.
Okay, well, last year I had Batman v Superman and comic book movies as a whole as my piquing my interest for 2016.
Easy.
And I'm going to be very easy again because Justice League is piqued my interest immensely. I mean, I know it's easy, but as far as 2016 as a whole, like that movie specifically, I just cannot wait to see all those characters together. I know a lot of people give Snyder flack, but I really want to see his specific vision come to fruition.
It's going to be a lighter tone.
What's that?
It's going to be a lighter tone. Didn't you know?
I mean, I'm fine with a little bit lighter tone, as long as Snyder is allowed to keep, with Jeff Johns in the, chair. If he allows Snyder to keep, his initial tone, his initial vision with a lighter tone, I'm fine with that. So I'm looking forward to see this entire Justice League. It's different, like we were saying earlier with Batman v Superman. It's different than Avengers and all that stuff that we've already seen.
What was piquing your interest in 2015 going into 2016, Tyler?
It was
it was Batman v Superman. So then what was, sorry, is it Justice League Now, or did you not say?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. Justice League Now, yeah.
So it kind of ties in with everything else. Understandable.
Correct.
All right, let's hear it. What was piquing my interest going into this year?
So it's funny, Joe giving Garret so much flack. Joe had 3 things.
I'm not the one that gives Garret flack. I just start with Garret. It's Sam that always gives Garret a flack for that. I just always go to Garret first. All right, what were the 3 things? I only have 1 this year.
Okay, so the first thing was Legends of Tomorrow, which Sam hated you for. The second thing was Hit the Floor because it starred Dean Cain. And the third thing was Vinyl because you thought it looked good, and it was what's her name doing coke?
Olivia Wilde.
Yes, Olivia Wilde.
Yeah, buddy.
Okay, so I'll tell you what. Out of those 3 shows, I only watched 1 of them. No, I watched 2 of them. One of them was actually good. Which one do you think it was?
The one that was canceled.
The one that was good.
Vinyl?
No, Vinyl was the bad one.
Yep.
That was the one that was canceled.
Right.
Oh,
no.
I thought that you said okay.
The one that I watched that was good was Hit the Floor. Hit the Floor was still fantastic.
Dean Cain!
Because they shortened the season again, and I remember because it hadn't been on in a year.
Star of God's Not Dead, Dean Cain.
No, Superman, Dean Cain. Let's never forget. So, and you can probably give me crap about this as well next year. What's piquing my interest for 2017, if you Google movies in 2017, everything that pops up just about is part of a franchise. Or
that's because we know those movies are coming out at this point.
At this point, correct. But it shouldn't be so, such a wild thing to like have an original movie pop up though as well that we know is going to come out in March or something.
Ugh.
But there's one franchise in particular that's starting back up in 2017 that is piquing my interest.
The Universal Monsters franchise?
No, but it is a horror franchise.
Please.
Damn it.
The Saw franchise is starting back up in 2017, and I'm scared it's going to ruin it because the original 7 are a complete, cohesive,
It's done. It's
great
done.
story.
Yep.
Is it rebooting or continuing?
It's continuing.
Yes, but it's also called what's it called?
Saw Legacy.
Legacy. So it's like
I
of.
heard of this.
But
Oh,
Tobin Bell is in it, and they started filming back in October.
Oh my god.
Dude, there's so much stuff. Let's also remember there's a combined universe with Godzilla and King Kong coming.
Right.
that makes perfect sense.
And the
Sam.
monster universe, man, there's lots of good things coming.
Tom Cruise is the Mummy.
Don't worry about
and
that
Russell
part.
Crowe is Dr. Jekyll, so I think the world is great right now.
Did you see that they actually fixed that part in the trailer? On IMAX, they fixed the part where apparently an editor, that was on purpose, like an editor, they fixed the part where he screams twice. He goes, ah!
Really?
Ah!
Did you see the video of IMAX they originally posted the trailer without any other like Foley or sound effects other than the ADR.
I think we were looking at the
voiceovers.
same story where they're like, this is what happens when you don't pay the sound guy enough.
No, they only what IMAX posted was just like you hear like the guy get hit with a bird and he's like, and you don't hear any of the birds like crashing. That's great.
Life's funny, Joe. Enjoy it,
You can tell us how life is funny, and there's many different ways you can do so. Or you can tell us what's piquing your interest for 2017.
It's gonna
or you
suck.
can hit us up in every day of 2017. What's going to suck?
that universe.
You know what's not going to suck because I didn't get a real plug was movie versus.
Tyler, we have a way to do this every time, but go ahead and plug movie versus now first.
Sorry. Movie Versus is a podcast in defense of bad movies with Charlie Pixley and Steve Janik, and it is a Three Wise Media relative, and we have a grand old time. So look us up.
What's up, Chuck?
That's what I say.
That's what he says.
I'm well aware. Anywho, there's many different ways you can contact us. If you have any questions about Three Wise Radio or Movie Versus, just hit us up at threewiseradio@gmail.com. You can find us on Twitter at @ThreeWiseRadio or hashtag #ThreeWiseRadio. Find us on Instagram at #ThreeWiseRadio or on Facebook at #ThreeWiseMedia. Now I say it. Our sister podcast is Movie Versus, which comes out every Thursday. Is there anything special coming out
Probably not.
on the 29th?
Yeah. Well, as of this recording, so this will come out before our next episode. We are doing both Charlie and Steve have to see sequels to Christmas movies that most people don't know exist. Jingle All the Way 2 and A Christmas Story 2. And they have to convince me which one's better.
Oh, Christ.
That sounds glorious.
It sounds shitty.
Larry the Cable Guy is in Jingle All the Way 2.
Oh,
Duh.
God, never mind.
Who else is going to jingle that long?
Sinbad.
Fair.
Sinbad would
Arnold.
jingle again. Yeah, or maybe Arnold as well.
What a year.
What a year. We'll see
What
you
a time to be alive.
Yeah, we'll see you in 2017. Hopefully we make it to 2018.
We're gonna.
3 Wise Radio is a production of 3 Wise Media. For more information, check us out on Facebook.